Suggesting to do some improvisational singing. This is what happened at the Democrat leadership's anti-Trump protests. It went wrong last night. Let's take a listen.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thanks, Liz. Appreciate it.
From a microphone not working to a suggestion to do some improvisational singing, this is what happened at the Democrat leadership's anti-Trump protests. It went wrong last night. Let's take a listen.
Thank you very much for coming out. Is the sound working? Okay, got it. The sound working? It's not on? Is somebody going to deal with this? Look at that moon. It's a new moon. All right. Can you hear now? Can't hear?
Bring it closer.
Can you hear now? No, that doesn't do any good. Shall we sing This Land Is Your Land again until they get the sound working?
Highway, this land was made for you and me.
The lady in the harbor, in the city in which I live, holds a wonderful torch. We will not let this evil order extinguish that great torch.
I'll do the real people now.
Are they here? Where are they?
Well, Trump responding. Here's a tweet. Nancy Pelosi and fake tears Chuck Schumer held a rally at the steps of the Supreme Court. The microphone did not work. It's a mess, just like the Democrat Party. Let's take this to the political power panel. Former Deputy Campaign Director George H.W. Bush, Mark Serrano. We got Democrat strategist Danielle McLaughlin. Mark, you know, how many Democrats does it take to fix a mic? I'm joking, but that's the joke flying around D.C. right now.
Hey, Liz, mic check. Can you hear me? Of course you can, because you have a professional organization that makes things work. You know, look at the moon. It's a nice, beautiful moon. I mean, how ridiculous was that? And yet it's so symbolic in a way, if you think about it, because Democrats can't make things work. They couldn't even make a website work for Obamacare. They can't make their microphone work on the steps of the Capitol. But more importantly, that didn't stop them from talking. They made speeches for 45 minutes despite the fact that nobody could hear them. That is symbolic of their relationship with the American people. The American people stopped listening to them a long time ago, yet they still keep yapping and talking and get nothing done.
Danielle, here's what was driving the protest last night. It was about the temporary travel halt. And let's do a flashback here. Remember back in Paris in 2015, November, there was that horrific terrorist massacre. Back then, Chuck Schumer considered a refugee pause in 2015. We also had 80 sitting Democrats voting to ban visas from some Muslim countries starting in 2002. Also 2015, President Obama signed a law saying basically exactly what, you know, Trump is doing now, stop the travel from these same terror hotspots. So what's the problem?
They're really different. I think that's the problem.
Why?
They're very different for a number of reasons. Number one, the executive order from Donald Trump reaches permanent resident green card holders.
No, it doesn't. They're fixing that.
Well, they're fixing that, but what we're talking about is the uproar that we've seen, the protests at airports and all these other things. It also affects people with visas that are for immigrant purposes, so PhD students. We've got people who are here studying. We've got family members and other things. So this isn't about visa waiver programs. This isn't about the Iraq 2011 halt. It's different. It's broader, and that's the problem.
I hear what you're saying. You know, here's the thing, Mark. What Danielle is bringing up is an important issue. We have a problem, people coming here being naturalized or coming on visas. The 9/11 hijackers, the terrorists there, came in on student visas. We have 500,000 people overstaying their visas. And listen to this, Mark. We had Hillary Clinton telling a private group in 2013 that Jordan, the country of Jordan, quote, can't possibly vet all those Syrian refugees, so they don't know if jihadis are coming in along with legitimate refugees. I just don't understand the flip-flop on the part of the Democrats on this issue about keeping Americans safe. Go.
Well, here's what's different. What's different is who's in the White House. That's the only thing that's different, is the Democrats are politicizing national security. And that's what they've been doing it since Saturday with the rollout of this executive order. And the reality is 57% of Americans still support the executive order. It's the reason why many of them elected Donald Trump as president in the 30 out of 50 states across the country. And let me tell you something. Going back to November 2015, 100 people slaughtered in the Bataclan Club. And the reason why was because a guy who came into France under a Syrian refugee status was one of the slaughterers. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. But the Democrats instead want to politicize it, and they want to claim that Donald Trump is a bigot, and yet they're the ones who identified these 7 same countries that we should restrict immigration from and take a pause. It's merely a pause so we can strengthen an abominable vetting system that President Obama had in place.
I'm sorry we got to go. We ran out of time. But, viewer, I just want to give you the recap. You've heard the numbers. We've been reporting it. 91 terror plots since the 9/11 attacks. 149 terrorists involved. Under Obama, there were at least 10 terror attacks. 113 people killed here in the United States. 400 injured. That's what the Trump administration is seeing right now. Thank you, Mark and Danielle. We're going to see you again shortly. Let's get to Apple CEO Tim Cook speaking.
I don't know that Syrian refugees will ever be let into this country under President Trump. The Syrian refugee ban is an indefinite pause, and actually some of them might die because they don't have a place to go.
All right, with just over a week in office, former Obama State Department official Marie Harf warns that President Trump's temporary travel halt could kill Syrian refugees. However, my next guest says if anyone's responsible for Syrian deaths, he's saying look to the Obama administration, because remember when President Obama drew that red line in Syria?
We have communicated in no uncertain terms with every player in the region that that's a red line for us, and that there would be enormous consequences if we start seeing movement on the chemical weapons.
Okay, we warn you, the images we're about to show you are graphic. Here's the video evidence of the aftermath of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's chemical attacks on his own people. You're going to see this footage momentarily. I'd like to bring back the political panel. There's some of the footage right there. Let's bring back Mark Serrano and Danielle McLaughlin. Mark, listen, it's Russia, it's Syria, it's President Obama being weak about the drawing of the red line. I mean, this whole issue about killing Syrian refugees, did Marie Harf take it too far with Donald Trump?
Absolutely. It's desperate. It's just desperate talking point. If you take a look, if you recall, Liz, I believe Saddam Hussein was deposed, was taken out of office exactly because he attacked his own people. And so here we had Barack Obama stating, no uncertain terms. That's a red line, and we won't accept it, and yet he did. He just fully accepted the deaths, literally, of hundreds of thousands of Syrians, and now we have this refugee crisis across Europe and the Middle East because of his policies. So all they have left now is to be able to claim that, no, it's Donald Trump who is likely the killer of Syrian refugees. It's nonsense, and it's really outrageous.
Yeah, we're a humane country. We want to take in refugees, right? But ISIS is all over that country right now. And we just heard from security experts you can't basically vet. We understand women and children, yes, of course. And the civil war in Syria has been an intractable problem. Is it fair to go after Donald Trump with such harsh language?
Probably not. He's been in the job for 11 days, let's be honest. But what people are saying is true, that people will die if countries around the world, New Zealand, excuse me, this country included, sorry, New Zealand is going to take double the amount because America won't take any in this next pause, is why I say it. It's going to be a problem, right? What Obama did in Syria was he set a red line and he didn't pass it. What we saw about a month later was an international agreement on chemical weapons, and we saw all of the chemical weapons we thought at the time away from the Assad regime. The bigger problem here, I think, for Donald Trump, and there's a cautionary tale here, is Russia is backing the Assad regime. Russia is currently the subject of sanctions, US sanctions. Trump is talking about getting rid of those sanctions. What does that say to the world about Russia's involvement in the death of thousands and thousands of Syrians?
I hear what you're saying. I'm just talking about the tone and the language and the rhetoric, right? That's kind of inflammatory.
It is inflammatory
at times, right, Mark? I mean, this isn't the first time, Mark, that we've had Democrats saying various Republican moves are going to kill people. I mean, we had Bernie Sanders and other Democrats saying, you take dial back Obamacare, you're going to kill people, right, Mark?
Absolutely, and it's, again, more irresponsible talk that's purely politicizing what is an international humanitarian crisis. And yet, we take a look at nations like Saudi Arabia, who haven't taken a single refugee in from their own region, and yet there's no criticism from the left on those nations. That's where we really need to begin in terms of refugee policy, as well as taking a pause from allowing any refugees into the U.S. for now, until we can set up a proper vetting system. So, Liz, this is further politicization. It's just politicizing crisis and tragedy.
Okay, we have to leave it there. I'm so sorry. I hear your point, Danielle. And thank you, Mark Serrano. We are working on this breaking news, bringing it to you.